climbing apparatus. So anyone in the audience, you guys have any idea what this is? No? So this is how it looks like, as you can see here. So this instrument, it is used to study learning, memory, and avoidance in animals, mainly in rodents, which are rats and mice. The objective of this instrument, it is to access the cognitive function and to investigate the pharmacological agents, which are the anxiolytics, sedatives, and antipsychotics. It is also used to determine the efficacy. Now I will explain you the parts of the apparatus. This is the insulating chamber. This right here is the glass window, which is used to see the result. Now there is a buzzer and a light bulb inside it, and these are the buttons to operate them. This is the pole which is used for the animal, the mouse, to climb on. And there's an electrifying grid in the bottom, which is used to produce mild shocks or currents. Now my friend Chinky will explain the rest of the mechanism.
Hello, yeah. So myself Shipra, also Chinky. So I'll further take over from the presentation. So the aim of this is to check the efficacy of the drugs which we use. So the main drugs we use in this experiment are antipsychotic drugs and hypnotics and sedative drugs. So the procedure and the principle is as follows. We're going to do an experiment on the mouse. This is the mouse we have, and this is the pole. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to train the mouse. The training phase consists of 4 further parts. In 3 parts, we're going to have a unconditioned response, and then for the 4th part, we'll have a conditioned response and explain how it goes back. So in unconditioned response, we'll provide stimulus in a sense of buzzer, which is sound. And then we'll provide the second stimulus in the sense of electric currents. So as the mouse senses the stimulus, a response is generated, which is climbing the pole. Let us see how this experiment goes. Part 1 of the training phase. So the mic is working. Like as you can see, for the first part of the training phase, with the stimulus of buzzer and current, the mouse produced a response. We are going to train this mouse for 3 times. This is the second part of the training phase. This also gave a positive response. Now we have a third part of the training phase. This gave a positive response. So this is the unconditioned response, which is basically governed by the primitive parts of the brain. Now, for the 4th part of the training phase, we are going to have a conditioned response, wherein the mouse without current is going to climb the pole. Because in our brain already a wired થઈ ગયું છે કે જ્યારે એક બઝરનો અવાજ સાંભળશે તો કરંટ એ પ્રિઝ્યુમ કરીને પોલ પર ચડી જશે. So the 4th part of the training phase. So there was no current this time, but the mouse still climbed. This proves that the mouse has been trained and this was a conditioned response. Now we're going to check how the mouse responses with different drugs. So first is the control study. Normal saline, which is depicted by the bag over there, is being administered to the mouse from a scientist. And the experiment begins. So mouse did climb the pole under the administration of normal saline. This is also an example of conditioned stimulus. Now we're gonna check how the mouse acts when drugs are induced. So the next drugs which we're gonna administer is sedative and hypnotics. Diazepam is the drug which we will administer to the mouse. And the experiment begins. As you can see, there was no response because sedative and hypnotics, they manipulate our physiological actions, which will be demonstrated live by my batchmates. So here we have two functions, which is higher function of brain and limbic system. And then we have the star of our show, which is diazepam. As you can see, diazepam did inhibit the brain's higher functions and limbic system. So that was the reason the mouse did not climb the pole and did not give a positive response. Our next case is when the mouse is administered with antipsychotic drug, which is chlorpromazine. And the experiment begins. No buzzer, only when the buzzer is played, there is no response. Yes, so there was a positive response when the mouse sensed the currents. Now, any guesses why the mouse climbed when there was a current and when he didn't climb when there was only buzzer? So the reason will also be explained by a live demonstration. We have the So like this we saw, the drug had inhibiting actions on the higher centers of brain, but it did not affect the limbic system. So the mouse did climb the pole. The conclusion will be provided by my friend Lee.
So concluding our presentation, I would like to emphasize that if there is one sentence we must absorb, it's that innovation never stops in science. If there is one sentence we must distribute amongst ourselves, it's that Cook's apparatus laid down foundation for today's advanced pharmacological techniques. If there is one sentence that we must first pass metabolize, it's that our understanding of the brain deepens with every new technology and every new tool we adopt. But of course, we must not forget the interactions. As a newer technique interacts with older legacy techniques like Cook's apparatus, it helps us to get better. It helps us to lay better foundation, to get a better insight, and to push ourselves to the limit to get the result, the desired result. But of course, we must also not forget the adverse effects. Overdependence and over-reliance on outdated techniques like Cook's apparatus may hinder the progression of the treatment. So, just like how adverse effect of a drug hinders the efficacy of the drug. Although Cook's apparatus played a heroic role in shaping early pharmacological researches, newer techniques have taken over. Newer technology and newer techniques have taken over it now. These technologies and these new techniques have helped us to understand the drug and psychotropic drug in a better and in a useful way, so that these drugs can be used to create better, effective, and safer treatments. These treatments are for the people, around 3.5 to 5 million across India and around 25 to 30 million people across the world who are dependent